A players in a role that allows them to work from their strengths when they have clearly defined results that they're responsible for delivering will be 900 to 1,200% more productive than a warm body team member.
You work hard in your business. On the Profit by Design podcast, we ask the big question. What has your business done for you lately? Hi, I'm Dr. Sabrina Starling. I'm the business psychologist, the author of the 4-Week Vacation and the How to Hire the Best series, as well as the founder of Tap the Potential, where we coach entrepreneurs like you to design sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. Because after all, we believe work supports life, not the other way around. Weekly on the Profit by Design podcast, we bring you tips, tools, and strategies from our own experiences and from the experiences of our guests who are entrepreneurial thought leaders and real life entrepreneurs, all to support you in making intentionally profitable and sustainable business decisions to live the lifestyle you desire.
Profit designers, are you struggling to grow your team and hire and retain team members? If so, you're not alone. This is a big issue that's going on right now for business owners. And I was just on Facebook yesterday reading a post in a local group from a business owner who was really in this place of desperation of having a business that they have developed to the point where they could thrive. She actually used the word thrive as a business owner. And then COVID came through and they survived that. But now their business is actually being devastated because they just cannot hire the help in the field that they need. So the owners and office staff are out working in the field just to try to keep up with the demand. And all of that is going on. And then customers are getting angry because phone calls aren't being answered, messages aren't being returned. Meanwhile, this owner is working probably 70 or more hours a week from sunup to sundown, not resting, not taking breaks and vacations, and just at her wit's end and saying, I have customers yelling at me because we can't take care of their needs. If you resonate with that experience, I want you to know we are dedicated at Tap the Potential to helping you solve this problem. I've been working with business owners over 15 years to solve their hiring challenges. My work on this started by accident when I was working in a community mental health center providing psychological services, and I got burnt out as a psychologist because we were short-staffed. And I did all this work with our team and trying to turn the mental health center into a great place to work because I knew that was what was needed in order to recruit people. And I had done that as much as I could. I had hung in there for several years and I wasn't seeing things turn around, and I wasn't in a role where I could affect much change. I was in middle management, so my opportunity to affect change was very limited. So I got the idea, you know what, I want to use my skills as a psychologist and get out there and work with people who want to make change. And I started life coaching. I went through life coach training and I opened my life coaching business. Well, all the clients who were coming to me were business owners and they needed help with time management and work-life balance. And as I dug into the issue, I realized it had much more to do with their ability to hire A players and build a great team than it had to do with anything else. And so that's where I really started to dig in and focus. And I was in a very rural area. This is Riverton, Wyoming. And what they say about Wyoming really is true. There are more antelope than people. So I was working with business owners who had opportunities to grow their business, and they were passing on growth opportunities because it would be more on their shoulders. They didn't trust that they could hire the team they needed to fulfill those obligations. And I'm an entrepreneur, and that just hurt me at my core to see people passing on growth opportunities. And so I dug in and tried to find solutions. And as I was surveying what material was out there to support small business owners on the hiring issue, I was stunned to find there was nothing written, no books for small business owners on hiring. And I couldn't believe that. And time and again, when I would ask about which books should, I read about hiring, Top Grading came up. And I read Top Grading. It is a great book. And the book Who is also a great book, but both of them are written for corporate environments and for companies that have HR teams. And we small business owners don't have a team of HR. And so I thought, wow, there needs to be a solution for small business owners to hire. And so I started to feel like it was almost this impossible challenge. And actually at this time, I was doing my own pumpkin planning in my business, and I was working with Mike McAllowitz and Donna Lyons. And I was we had done a small business retreat with a couple of other business owners. And we were at that retreat, and Mike kept saying, you need to write a book on hiring for small business. And I said, you know what? I don't even know a thing. I don't know where to start, Mike. I can't find any resources out there. I don't have any expertise to offer. And it started to dawn on me that I needed to solve this problem. It was my top client's number one challenge. And I felt so stymied by it because I just felt like there were no solutions. And then one night, shortly after that time at the retreat, I went to bed and I woke up the next morning. And when you have that epiphany sometimes as you transition from sleep to wakefulness, like something that's been a real problem for you, all of a sudden you have an idea to solve it. I didn't have that happen. What I actually woke up with was this powerful question of, what if it's not true? What if it's not true that because we're small business owners in a small town, in a rural area, we can't get good help? Because that's what I had been hearing over and over from one small business owner to another, or one small business owner after another. And I started to believe it, that, this is just an impossible problem to solve. And that's an example of how our mindset really limits us, because I was putting so many limitations on what's possible by buying into that. And so that morning when I woke up with that powerful question of, what if it's not true? What if it's not true that we can't hire good people? That quickly shifted my thinking to possibilities. And I started wondering, well, can I find small business owners who have A players on their team? And I could ask them, how did they get them? And I thought, this is it. This is going to be so easy. I'm just going to go interview some small business owners, and I'll write a white paper, and I'll do a webinar, and I'll provide a solution. And what turned out to be the case is I called up small business owners and I would ask to speak with them. And every single one of them almost said to me, you know what, I have a couple of good people on my team, but I don't have a team of A players. I have one or two really good ones. And honestly, I have no idea how they came to be on my team. So Dr. Sabrina, if you ever figure out how to hire good people, please come back and tell me, because I don't know what I'm doing. And so I would thank them for their time, and I would end the call, and I walked away discouraged. Again, I was buying into a limiting belief. They were telling me they didn't know what they were doing, and I believed them. And then I thought, you know what? I'm going to push on this just a little bit. And so the next person that I interviewed, when they said the same thing to me, yet again, I can't help you. I have a couple good people, but I have no idea how I got them. If I had to do it again, it's just like shooting in the dark every time I hire. The next time I heard that, I said, well, would you mind just telling me the story of how the last great team member that you have on your team came to be working for you? And I would listen to the story, and I thought, wow, so word of mouth, isn't that interesting? Networking. They knew what they were looking for before they told somebody that they were hiring. And I thought, I wonder if that is part of the solution. And then I talked to another business owner, ask the same kinds of questions. Just tell me the story of the last great team member who came to be on your team. How did they come to work for you? And I started collecting these stories, and I put all the stories together, and I saw the themes. I saw that A players have a different psychology than warm-body team members. I saw that A players appreciate different things than the typical team members. I saw A players want things that business owners and employers are not advertising. They want intangible perks. And I saw that there was a common thread that drew the A players to the team and kept them there, and it was the core values alignment. And so I started putting all of this together into a book, and that became my first book in the How to Hire the Best series. I really thought it was going to be the only How to Hire the Best book I wrote because I was focused on rural business owners. And so it was How to Hire the Best, the Rural Business Owner's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members. Well, as soon as that book came out, I started getting phone calls from business owners all over the country. They weren't in rural areas, and they all kind of said the same thing. Like, Dr. Sabrina, I'm in New York, I'm in New Jersey, I'm in San Francisco, Denver. I have those same hiring challenges that you talk about in this book, and we're not a rural area. Do you think this will work for me? And I said, well, I have no idea, but let's try. Let's see what happens. And so we started using the How to Hire the Best system with those business owners. And what I quickly discovered is, number one, the hiring challenges were not just a rural business owner problem. They were a small business owner problem everywhere. And the How to Hire the Best strategy works regardless of population size, and it works even better in more populated areas just simply because you have more A players in more populated areas. And so I started working with business owners, solving their hiring challenges, and then I wrote the next edition of the How to Hire the Best book, which is the contractor's edition, because I was getting a lot of clients in the construction industry. The construction industry has had some of the greatest hiring challenges since the recession in 2008. And so I focused on them. And when I wrote the contractor's edition of How to Hire the Best, what I was really baffled by is that accountants and bookkeepers, chiropractors, other professions were buying the book and sharing it in their circles. And I was like, what's going on? This is for construction. This is for contractors. I didn't say that, but I thought that's really interesting. And that's when I came to be aware that there needed to be a book for entrepreneurs everywhere. And that's how I came to write the last How to Hire the Best book, the latest edition, which is the Entrepreneur's Ultimate Guide to Attracting Top Performing Team Members. And in that book, I've really had the opportunity, that's the cool thing about writing 3 books on the same topic, is I have honed and refined the system because I constantly get feedback from business owners who are in our How to Hire the Best course on what's working and what's not working. So over the years, I've really focused, I've done really good pumpkin planning, and I've focused on what's working. And I've taken out all the other stuff so that you would have a clear guide to here's how you hire the best. This is what it looks like in a small business. And even to this day, 15 years later, after having written these books and done this work, it amazes me when I have business owners who come to me and say, I used How to Hire the Best, and look at me, I have all these A players on my team. I'm like, wow, that really works. Who knew? And so the reality is listening. It was really good listening to business owners and hearing the patterns of what really works in real world situations. And that's one of the pieces of feedback that I consistently get about the How to Hire the Best book and the course is that this information is so practical and so easy to implement. It takes work. You can't just do 2 things and all of a sudden you have an A player knocking at your door. It's not that easy. You really do have to have a hiring system. And what's interesting to me is when we have surveyed business owners using the Better Business, Better Life assessment, we have data now from over 225 entrepreneurs who say they don't have a hiring system in place. 9 out of 10 entrepreneurs have no system to attract A players to their business. And the other systems where there's huge gaps is around onboarding and team development. This is a big overlooked area in small business. And one of the things that I'm really fascinated by is how when you know how to hire, how to retain, and how to grow your team of A players, all of a sudden your business has the opportunity to be profitable. And so when we utilize the Tap the Potential solution to design a sustainably profitable business that gives you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever, we have a lot of clients who've been trying to implement Profit First and pumpkin planning and struggling. And it's amazing how when we get the foundations of Profit First in place we do some pumpkin planning, and then we have a really clearly defined sweet spot in the business. And then we start looking at hiring, and we hire around the sweet spot. A couple of really fascinating things happen. Number one, a lot of times the business owners who thought they needed to hire like 4 people, all of a sudden realize, you know what, I really only need to make 1 key hire. So now hiring is a lot less overwhelming. But the other piece is that payroll is one of the biggest expenses. Payroll and rent are typically the biggest expenses in small business. So if you can do anything to reduce your rent and reduce your payroll, you have a much greater chance of being profitable. And so when we look at having warm bodies on our team, one of the things we don't realize is all the subtle ways that they cost us money in the business. And so, because they make mistakes, there's rework, they work slow. A players in the role that allows them to operate from their strengths will be 900 to 1,200% more productive than a warm body team member. Let that sink in. A players in a role that allows them to work from their strengths when they have clearly defined results that they're responsible for delivering will be 900 to 1,200% more productive than a warm body team member. So what happens when you get those warm bodies off your team and you replace them with A players? You need fewer A players. That's the number one thing that happens. But when you also go through the process of defining your sweet spot before you hire, you realize you were just about to hire multiple roles to take care of the most challenging clients and customers, the customers, your PETA customers, the ones who complain, who cause your team members a lot of stress and anxiety. They take up so much of your team's time, it leaves you feeling like we're at capacity, we need to hire. And that's not the way to make a hiring decision. And so this work on developing a hiring system and then looking at how to develop and retain your A players is so powerful. So in the coming weeks on the Profit by Design podcast, we're doing some really cool things. We're going to dive deep into hiring. Next week's episode is our 200th episode on the Profit by Design podcast. I can't believe we're at episode 200 already. So that's a weekly episode for the last 200 weeks. That's about 4 years if you're counting. And where we've been bringing you value and bringing you real life business strategy to support you in designing your own sustainably profitable business. So next week, it's our 200th episode. I'm bringing a very special guest on. I'm not going to say who it is or what it's about, but this person has had some of the biggest hiring challenges. They're in an extremely rural area, extremely rural, and they've had massive hiring challenges. And here's another hint. They've been on the podcast previously. Some of you who are longtime listeners of the podcast probably already know who I'm talking about. And when they were on the podcast previously, we were talking about their hiring challenges. So they're going to come and they're going to give us an update on where things are currently. So that's going to be a very exciting episode. But we have multiple episodes coming up focused on hiring, how to onboard, how to develop your team, how to retain. Oh my gosh, I cannot wait to share with you what we've cooked up at Tap the Potential to support you in retaining your A players. This is the biggest deal because turnover is so costly to your business. When you retain your A players, you really have that opportunity to be profitable at a much higher level. So I can't wait to share all that with you. What I want to get you thinking about today is what are the beliefs you're carrying around with you that are limiting your opportunities to hire the best? How are your beliefs limiting you? Because when I shared with you my story of how I came to write How to Hire the Best, you heard me share, I had some massive limiting beliefs. Number one, that I didn't know any solutions for hiring. So how could I be out there as a hiring expert when Mike McCallowitz was telling me that? I was like, I can't be a hiring expert. I don't know anything about hiring. Well, I dug in and I did the work and I became the expert. And you have limiting beliefs too that are holding you back with respect to growing your team, hiring A players, and having that great place to work where you're the employer of choice in your community and people want to come to work for you because you have that reputation as being a great place to work. So I want you to just pay attention in the coming week. What are my limiting beliefs? Because we are going to blow them out of the water. You're going to have some breakthroughs and powerful moments. So that's coming up on the podcast. At Tap the Potential, we are doing a live-webinar on what's working now to attract A players. This is what small business owners need to know right now to attract A players to your team. So that live-webinar is coming up very soon. You want to be sure you're registered for it. Go over to tapthepotential.com/hire the best. tapthepotential.com/hire the best. You're going to want to be on that webinar. You're going to want to hear what's working now, and you really are going to benefit from understanding the psychology of A players. That piece is mind-blowing for so many business owners. It's something that we don't tend to think about very much. We tend to think when we're hiring, especially if we have been surrounded by warm body team members, and we might even have, like if you have hiring PTSD from your warm body team members, it may be very surprising to you to realize that A players operate very differently than your typical team member. And in order to attract them to your business, you need your business to be attractive to A players. If it's filled with warm bodies, or you have even a couple of warm bodies on your team, you're hurting your chances of getting A players. And I'll be sharing with you what you can do differently to attract those A players. So again, that's coming up very soon. Be sure to get registered. tapthepotential.com/hire the best. And then in August, I'm offering the How to Hire the Best course again. We're going to dive deep in it. If you haven't heard, when you're in the How to Hire the Best course, you get the opportunity to be featured in our Great Place to Work spotlight at Tap the Potential. As you go through the course, we're setting you up to build your hiring system over the course of 5 weeks. And those who go through the course are also doing tremendous work on developing their culture. And when I say tremendous work, it's big work, because small steps forward taken in a consistent direction lead to big change over time. And so the How to Hire the Best course is laid out. So from week to week, you take your small steps forward and you get big change over the course of 5 weeks. And so that's how you have the opportunity. When you've completed 90% of your Move Forward action steps, you have the opportunity to be featured in our Great Place to Work spotlight, which is huge in helping you recruit A players to your team. So all of that's coming up. We at Tap the Potential are digging in. We want to help you be a great place to work so that you have a steady pipeline of A players lining up to work for you. And ultimately, you get to take your life back from your business, because when you have A players on your team, you feel confident that you can build a business that you can be away from when you want to take those 4-week vacations, or even just for a week to go away fully unplugged. That's what's possible for you, and I can't wait. So tune in next week, and don't forget to sign up for the live-webinar, tapthepotential.com/hire the best. I'll see you there. Hey, Profit Designers, Dr. Sabrina here. This is a PS message for you. In my excitement about the upcoming 200th episode, I misspoke. That's actually 2 weeks from today. So you're going to have to hang in there and wait a little bit longer to see who our surprise guest is. But anyway, join me next week for more on growing your team of A players. Thank you for spending time with us today. Join our conversation in the Entrepreneurs Take Your Life Back Facebook community at tapthepotential.com/group. Share your aha moments from today's episode, ask me questions, and join in on the fun with your fellow entrepreneurs on the journey to designing sustainably profitable businesses that give you more time for what matters most and more money in your bank account than ever. And finally, share today's episode with a friend if you know a friend who would enjoy it. This is real life business. Keep your chin up, keep moving forward. You got this. If you've gotten value from today's show, don't forget to subscribe so you never miss an episode. And if you are a repeat listener of the podcast, know that we greatly appreciate you at Tap the Potential. And to that end, I have a request. Please consider leaving us a review on whatever platform you're listening on. Our reviews help other entrepreneurs like you to find us. Be a part of our movement to help entrepreneurs take your life back from your business.